You never know. The little small things you do every day that are insignificant to you, you don't think twice about them. They can mean the world to somebody else. Whenever I travel, I carry a very special coin with me that reminds me of that principle. Because I still go and speak to kids occasionally, elementary kids, people like that. I have to keep up my basketball skills. Even at my age now, I still practice all my dribbling and everything. And the place I practice is at the YMCA there in San Antonio. And usually when I go in, they drop a curtain at midcourt. It's a solid curtain. You can't see through it. So one side I'll practice, the other side people can shoot baskets, or I'll go into a racquetball room. But this particular day I go in, the curtain's been dropped, so I start practicing my skills on one side. Now I can hear one guy on the other side shooting baskets by himself. We can't see each other. We can hear each other. So I get ready to take a breather. I go sit down, I put the basketballs on my feet, and now we're at an angle where we can see each other. And he looks over and sees the stars on the ball. So he walks over to me and says, "Hey, what are all those stars on the ball for?" I said, "Well, I travel and perform, but I also speak." He said, "What do you speak about?" I said, "I speak to people about finding purpose in their own life and making a difference for other people." He said, "Man, I could really use some of that right now." And I said, "Why is that?" He said, "My name is Tony Ramirez. I was a combat medic in Iraq. And man, I saw a lot of bad stuff." He said, I had friends that never made it home. He said, "I was out in the field at times and I was working on guys with no legs that would try to stand up and fight." And he said, "I watched all that stuff go on." And I was very honest. I said, "Tony, do you have PTSD?" He said, "Yeah, I got that, but that's not my biggest problem." I said, "What is?" He said, "The biggest problem is this." He said, "Even though combat was tough on me and the military was tough on me," he said, "at least then I had purpose in my life. I was Sergeant Tony Ramirez. I was a guy that could save your life out there in the field. I was the guy they came to with their problems. I was a competitive boxer. I was a competitive kickboxer. I was somebody, and now I'm back here, and they label me disabled, and they give me a check and some drugs and a counselor, and they say, 'Good luck to you.'" He goes, "Man, I'm nobody anymore. I don't have purpose in my life. And man, I struggle with that." I said, "Tony, I wish I could do something for it." I said, "Wait a minute." I said, "Listen, I just wrote a book called The Game Winning 3 that talks about this, and it's not in print. It's at the printer. But it's on my computer, and if you like, I'll email it to you if you'll give me your email address." He says, "Man, I would love that." So he gave me his email address. I emailed him my book. My book, the whole book has color in it. He printed out every page, and he would text me, "I'm at the Spurs game. Look what I got with me." And he'd have that book with him. "I'm at my daughter's basketball game. I got the book with me." So this went on for about a week. Finally, about a week, I get a text from Tony. He says, "Hey, can you meet me at Panera Bread? I got something for you." Now, I don't mean this disrespectfully. I'm not military, but I've heard about PTSD. And I got a soldier that just read my book who's got something for me. And I was a little nervous, I have to admit. So I did the brave thing. I said, "Can I bring my wife?" He goes, "Yeah, you can bring your wife. I don't care." So I showed up at Panera Bread, opened the door, and there was Tony in the middle of the restaurant at a table all by himself. He's got his head down, looks up and sees me. You would have thought a general walked in. He stood up so fast he knocked his chair over. And he walked over to me. I said, "Hey, Tony, how's it going?" He goes, "Man, I'm doing great." I said, "Let's get some coffee and talk about what's on your mind." He said, "We can do that, but first I got to do this or I won't be able to do it." And he reached into his pocket and he pulled out this coin and he gave it to me. And I didn't know what it was. He knew I played golf, and I said, "Tony, this is beautiful, but if you think I'm going to use this as a ball marker, it's too big. The other guys are going to get mad at me." He goes, "No, Dave. That's a command coin." And I said, "What is that?" He says, "Well, in the military, if you have acts of bravery or great service, this is how they reward you." He says, "But the thing about it is, give it back to me. I want to give it to you the way they gave it to me." And he put it in the palm of his hand, and he took my hand, and he pushed the two together, and he gave me the coin. He said, "That's the way the colonel gave it to me, and that's the way I want to give it to you." And I said, "Wow, Tony, this is beautiful, but I can't take this, man. It means too much to you." He goes, "No, I got two other ones, but I want you to have this one." And I said, "Why do you want me to have it?" He said, "Well, the day I met you, you didn't know this. But man, I was at an awful, awful point in my life. I was at a low point that some of my comrades got to and ended it all. And man, I was right there. But you took the time to talk to me. And you took the time to send me that book, and I read that book many times, and it showed me that I could start over and I could have purpose in my life again." And he said, "I'm going to tell you something. You saved my life. And I want to say thank you." And he gave me this coin. Tony's story has a great ending. Went back to school, got his degree. When I first met Tony, he wouldn't look you in the eye. He had so much pain. He started giving speeches in his class, and his classmates said, "Man, this guy's a natural. He's a great natural speech giver." You know, he called me one day on the phone. He was a little upset. He said, "I worked so hard. I've always wanted to make the dean's list. I didn't make it, though. They put me on something called the president's list." What is that? I don't even know what that is. He made the president's list. And about 2 months ago, He and his wife gave birth to twins. And he sent me a text. And he said it wouldn't have happened without you. And I said, no, Tony, you always had it in you. You just had to let it come out. It's not about me, it's about you. You know, folks, you never know the little small things you do every day that are insignificant to you, that mean nothing to you, can mean the world to somebody else.